The Yakuza series, it holds a special place in my heart. It's actually been a favourite of mine now for years. So when Sega announced Yakuza Kiwami was going to be coming to the Switch, I was, well, honestly, more excited than I'd like to admit. You know, with its gritty crime drama, its over-the-top action, its hilarious minigames, it is, in my opinion, something everyone should experience. So today, I'm breaking down 10 reasons why Yakuza Kiwami on the Switch is absolutely worth getting excited about. So if you do enjoy this video today, do me a favour and subscribe. And also, just a quick note, the footage you're seeing today is from the Steam build of the game, as well as trailers, mostly PlayStation, because, well, realistically, there's limited Switch footage available right now. That said though, later in the video, I will at least take a closer look at what we can gather from the Switch trailer, and I'll say it up front, I'm definitely, for the most part, impressed. Alright, so let's talk about the history of Yakuza on Nintendo systems. It's been a rough road. The last time a Yakuza game appeared on a Nintendo console was Yakuza 1 and 2 HD remastered for the Wii U. Now, unfortunately, this game did not do well. It sold less than 2,000 copies in its opening week in Japan. That is dismal for the series, and it failed to even crack the top 50. That's, well, from what I know, completely unheard of for Yakuza. So it's definitely basically understandable that it's taken this long for us to get here. One thing from this story though is clear. If we want to see more Yakuza games on the Switch, we need to show up for Kawami. You know, the fan base already is passionate, so I've got confidence. But this really could be the start of something massive for Nintendo owners. As I said, I'm a massive fan. So basically, let's not let it slip through the cracks. As long as the port work is solid, invest your cash in this one. Now on to all of the reasons you need to play, and first, Yakuza Kiwami is a remake of the original entry from the PS2, but this isn't just a simple port, it is a full rebuild. While the core story remains the same, Kiwami takes the graphics, engine, and combat system from Yakuza 0. That was a prequel that arrived years later. So what does that actually mean though? Well, first off, gone is the clunky combat of the original. It's been replaced with an expansive system that explores different combat stances. The environment is way more dynamic, of course, and then there's a whole host of quality of life improvements as well. Also, the city itself has been expanded with new nightlife spots. The story now features additional cutscenes that dive into the characters' backstories. And to top it off, voice acting has been re-recorded by the original cast, so the dialogue now actually matches the quality seen in later entries. It's, well, easy to say, it's a definitive way to experience that original entry. Yakuza Kiwami then sets the stage for Kazuma Kiryu's journey through the seedy underbelly of Tokyo. You're going to have to forgive my pronunciations in this video as well, by the way. But after spending 10 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, the murder of his Yakuza boss, Kiryu emerges to find the world he knew has changed. Additionally, there's a whole lot of yen missing from the Tojo Clan, so the underworld is now in chaos, and Kiryu is thrown right back into the fire as he fights to uncover the truth. The balance of serious crime narrative with moments of absurdity is what makes Yakuza Kiwami's storytelling so memorable, and that goes for the entire series. You know, one moment you're going to be caught up in the intensity of the underworld, and the next you're going to find yourself in a completely unexpected and often ridiculous side mission. One warning with the story for this game though, it can feel complex, especially early on, and even a little, I'd say slow at points, but do stick with it because it all comes together beautifully by the end. One of the biggest draws then of Kawami is its cast of characters. At the center is of course Kazuma Kiryu, a stoic but deeply loyal protagonist who is just as compelling in moments of, let's say, calm as he is in the heat of battle. His journey from a betrayed Yakuza member to a hero of the streets is one of the best out there. Then there's Akira Nishikiyama, Kiryu's best friend. His arc is tragic and complex. It offers an impressive portrayal of loyalty, power, and corruption. And then of course there's Goro Mishima, who injects pure chaos into every scene he is in. Whether he's picking a fight or showing up in, well, let's say, unexpected situations, Mishima is just unpredictable, dangerous, and hilarious, and often that's the case all at the same time. The characters at Kiwami, they stick with you long after the credits have rolled, and that's really just a very, very small sample of who you can expect to meet. One of the standout features of Yakuza Kiwami is actually its overhauled combat system. Now, this isn't your typical button masher. Kiwami gives you 4 distinct fighting stances to switch between. That's on the fly, and each comes with its own moves and strategies. You've got the fast, agile rush style, the hard-hitting beast for kind of crowd control, the balanced brawler, and then Kiryu's signature dragon style, which you actually have to rebuild as you progress after your time in prison. It seems you've kind of almost forgotten what you once knew. Switching stances, though, is just the press of the D-pad away, and it keeps the combat really exciting throughout. Also, this system isn't just about punches and kicks. You'll use objects in the environment, everything from bikes to traffic cones. You can execute brutal heat actions for finishing moves, slam someone's face against a wall. You'll even encounter plenty of weapons along the journey, from swords to golf clubs, which I personally adore. The fight sim as well, they can occur at any time. Like, sure, there's story-based encounters, and they are actually constant, but there's also fights which can happen right there in the streets. Bump into an opponent or someone that simply, I guess, doesn't like you, and the game transitions. Then moments later, you'll find yourself in a small arena surrounded by a cheering crowd ready to go to war. Yakuza Kiwami's boss fights then are where the game really shines. These are no ordinary brawls. They dial up the challenge and, of course, intensity. They are much more cinematic showdowns these. They're designed, though, at the same time to test you. Now, to achieve this, each boss has a distinct personality and fighting style, which makes them feel very unique. Whether you're squaring off against the wild and unpredictable Majima, or facing down a finance officer with a taste for golf clubs, one of the first encounters in the game, these battles pack a punch, and often there's also kind of an emotional one there too. It's always very tightly tied to that core narrative. They even have quick time events occasionally to kind of keep you on your toes, and I know they're not for everyone. In fact, honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of them myself generally, but I actually think they work really well here. Many would argue then that the real star of Yakuza Kiwami isn't Kiryu. It's actually Kamurocho, the town the game is based in. It's modeled after Tokyo's Kabukicho district, and Kamurocho is a detailed, bustling urban setting filled with neon-lit shops, shady back alleys, and countless hidden items. There's always something new to discover here, and the upgrade is seriously impressive. I'll also note at this point, look, the city is small compared to a lot of open world games out there, but what it lacks in size, it makes up for in variety, from stepping into arcades to playing darts in a bar or grabbing a bowl of food at a restaurant. There's always something here to do, and the side stories, known as sub-stories, that fill this location, they are full of heart, taking you from one wild encounter to another, and I think personally this is one of the best locations out there. It's actually my favorite open world city in any game. At its core then, Yakuza Kiwami is an intense crime drama, but it's the game's balance of humor and serious storytelling that really makes it stand out. 1 minute you're caught up in a deeply, let's say, emotional betrayal, or the next, you might be involved in the most ridiculous mini-games you can think of, or side missions, fetching items for friends, helping someone that's down on their luck, battling on one particular video game in this world, underground insect wrestling. It's crazy, honestly, as you can probably tell from the title. But yeah, this wild mix of tones shouldn't work, but it absolutely does, and the game shifts between moments of tension and moments of levity with ease, and it's because of that you'll be locked in from start to finish. You'll just never guess where it's going next, and I think these characters are so lovable and likable. It's because of all of this almost weirdness. It really adds this huge amount of personality. With the mention of minigames there as well, if you ever need a break from the main story, Yakuza Kiwami has you covered with its huge selection of minigames. From karaoke and darts to classic Sega arcade games, there is just no shortage of ways to pass the time in Kamurocho. You can even test your skills at the batting cages or take part in underground gambling rings. Each minigame is then packed with rewards, and some even have progression systems that unlock new items or boost your skills. You can honestly waste a huge amount of hours on them, and I'm speaking as someone that definitely knows this firsthand. Our final reason then, before we do get to a quick trailer review and potential problems, and this is a big reason to be excited, Yakuza Kiwami is priced at $19.99 USD, or your regional equivalent. They announced this on X, and given the quality of the game, I think it's an absolute steal. Many Switch ports come with inflated prices. I actually expected this to be maybe $30, $40, but Sega are delivering this one at a price that is, well, yeah, hard to beat. They're actually matching other systems' current price, but that wasn't the case back at launch on those other platforms. It was $30, so absolute respect to Sega for doing this. Maybe it is because of the previous sales history on the Wii U, they really want to make sure this one finds its audience, but if that is the case, they've definitely, in my opinion, gone the right way about it. Of course then, look, no game is without its potential drawbacks. I haven't played the Switch build, and the Switch has a history of struggling with frame rate issues, especially in open world games. And while I'm optimistic that Sega will optimize Kawami for the system, that is of course always something to keep in mind. You know, Kamurocho is detailed, it's full of fast-paced action, so we'll really have to see if the hardware can keep up without sacrificing that performance. That said, the trailer shown at the recent Nintendo Direct, it gave us a look at kind of what to expect from the Switch version. You know, you can clearly tell it's a Switch build. The resolution's taken a noticeable hit. Also, you do see button prompts associated to the Switch within the video. But comparing it to the footage I presented today, that's from, again, the Steam build and PlayStation trailers, differences are clear. There's pixelation, there's a slight stutter as they transitioned into a street fight, and the mini-games, like the batting cage, they showed a significant drop in visual fidelity. But yeah, the good out of this is the world appears intact, the combat seems to be like flowing perfectly in my opinion, and from this brief moment, I would describe it as they've made the right compromises because the fighting is core, the exploration is core, and I'm really not seeing too many issues in that area, and that's honestly, in my opinion, all we can ask for given the age now of this hardware. But yeah, basically overall, I don't think it looks bad at all, and having Yakuza on the go, I'm absolutely all in. Plus there's a whole new audience that will get to discover the series for the first time, which I'm actually more excited about. I'd love to go back personally and experience, you know, this tale for the first time, and now a lot of people will finally get to do just that, and please do not miss that opportunity. Yakuza Kiwami on the Nintendo Switch is shaping up to be an exciting addition to the system's lineup, with its gripping story, dynamic combat, and the just incredible world of Kamurocho packed with humor and heart. It is a game that has stood the test of time. I pretty much look forward to this, or a Yakuza release pretty much every year or two at this point. But whether you're a long-time fan of the series or experiencing it for the first time, there is so much here to look forward to. It's also then at an extremely fair price point, and with the portability of the Switch, I know I could play it on Steam Deck, but it's still hard not to get excited. Just keep an eye out for any potential performance issues, but if it delivers, this is a must-play for action RPG fans and open world fans alike. So will you be checking out Yakuza Kiwami? Let me know in the comments. Have you played it already? If so, give it some support. Tell everybody they should be playing this game because of how just awesome it is. Alright, with that, hit subscribe, join us here for Switch content daily, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers all.